Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Rudra and today we are continuing Python programming series. In previous lecture, we studied about programming in general, the history of programming and Python versus other languages, how Python is different from other programming languages. Then we installed VS Code for typing Python for coding, and then we'll study a little bit about Python in general, like what are identifiers, what are keywords, and what are comments. So in lecture 2 today we will continue variables and data types. So without wasting any time, let's continue. Variables. A variable is a name given to a memory location used to store data, a value that can be used and changed later in the program. Variable is basically a memory location. In your computer you would have heard about SSD and hard disk. About memory, they have memory 512 gigabytes and etc. So variables, what does a variable do is it just points to a memory location where whatever data you store in that variable get stored there. And a point need to be noted is that it can be changed later in the program. A variable can be changed. How variable works in Python. You don't need to declare the type of a variable. Python decides it automatically based on value assigned. That is called dynamic in Python. Other languages like C, C++, you have to declare the type of a variable. That's why they are called static languages. A variable is created the moment you assign a value to it using is equals to operator, assignment operator. The assignment sign in programming means assign, not equal to, like in mathematics. So this assignment operator doesn't mean equal to. If you are writing A is equals to B, then it doesn't mean that A is equal to B. It means that whatever the value on the right side, it is stored in the in A. It is assigned there. It can be changed there later. Like we can see the example. Name is equals to Rahul. So the value Rahul is stored in this name variable. Wherever this variable points in the location, that's where Rahul is stored. Age is equals to 20, marks is equals to 89.5. Now we have used print keyword function before. So print name, it will print Rahul, print age, it will print 20, and print marks, it will print the marks. Outputs are here. Key points. A variable name is simply a label pointing to a value stored in memory. Variables can be reassigned to a new value even of a different data type at any time. Think of a variable like a labeled box. You can put something in it, look at what's inside, or replace it with something else later. Rules for naming the variables. We have already discussed about it in previous lecture, so we won't waste much time on it. I will just read it out and we can further. Can contain letters, small a to z, capital A to z, digits 0 to 9, and some symbol just underscore. Must not start with a digit, cannot contain spaces or special symbols, only underscore. Cannot be Python keyword. We have studied about keyword in previous lecture, so it should not be a keyword. Variables names are case sensitive. Marks and marks in capital. You should note that the capital and small letters mean different variables in Python. Should be meaningful and readable. Describe what the variable stores. Valid versus invalid example, you can check it yourself. We have already studied about it in this previous lecture. Naming convention. Now today we'll do a little bit of coding, so you should take a look here. Use snake case for your variables name. Today we will generally use variables name. Today we are studying about variables. So in practice we will write many variables, declare very many variables. So you should focus here. Use snake case for a variable. All lowercase words separated by underscore. Example: student name, total price. Avoid single meaningless letters like X, A unless used in very short code like loop counters. Dynamic typing. Dynamic typing means you do not have to declare the data type of the variable in advance. I've already told you this. Python automatically detects the type based on the value assigned, and same variable can later be reassigned to a value of completely different type. For example, x is equals to 10, so 10 is stored in x, then print type x. We'll study about type type x here. Here type is a keyword, a function which tells what type of data stored in x is. Like here we have stored 10. 10 is an integer. X is currently an integer. X is equals to hello. Now we have changed the we in the same code we are declaring the value, assigning value of x again. Now we are printing the type of it, and now it becomes string. Then we assign it another value, and then we find out its type and it's another value. Here are the outputs. In first case it's int, in second case it's string, and in third case it's, we'll study about these data types later. So let's continue in detail. This is the opposite of statically typing languages like C or Java, where you must declare the type int x and it cannot change later. Dynamic typing makes Python flexible and quick to write, but it also means type-related errors may only appear while the program is running. The type of a variable is decided at runtime, not before running the program. Multiple assignment. Python allows assigning values to multiple variables in a single line. So hold on, let's first practice this out. Like in previous lecture we did this code generally types all the 35 keywords that are available in Python, and this was our first program to print hello world. Let's create a, I have just opened the file again, Python programming, in which we'll store all the our coding, all the practices. Add new file. I'll name it lecture2.py. So what we have to do, x is equals to 10, print type x, then x is equals to, let's say, Rudra, print type x, and x is equals to 3.14 in type x. So let's run the program, and you can see as we saw in the PDF, for first case it's int, for second it's integer, no sorry, string, and third it's float, as we can see in the PDF. Here output. Multiple assignments. Python allow assigning values to multiple variables in a single line, either giving each variable a different value or giving server variables the same value at once. Type 1, assigning different values to different variables. So we can assign multiple variables values at the same time in one line. We don't have to write a is equals to 10, then in the next line b is equals to 20, c is equals to 30. We can do that in the same line to save time, like this. Type 1 is storing different values in different variables. and type 2 is basically storing the same value in different variables. So you can see that. I'll show you in VS Code. I'll comment out the cut the previous program, and a equal b equal b equal, sorry, a comma b comma equal to 10, 20, print. So as you can see, the value 10, 20, 30 is printed as a has stored the 10, b has stored the value 20, and c has stored the value 30. So the leftmost value will be stored in the leftmost variable, and that's in that serial way the values will be stored. So type 2 is just the same. You want to store, if you want to store the same variable, same value in all the variables, you can do it in this way as shown in the example. Key point: in multiple assignments with different values, the number of variables on the left must match the number of values on the right. This feature is also used to swap values of two variables easily. A comma b is equals to b comma a, swapping two variables. If a has stored the value of 5 and b contains the 10, then a comma b is equals to b comma a, print ab. So from here whatever is stored in b has 10. So now a will become 10 because the leftmost value get paired with the leftmost variable, and here 10 contains 5, so it gets assigned to b. So now b contains 5. That's why 10 and 5 are printed when we are printing a and b. Constants. A constant is a variable whose value is not supposed to change throughout the program. Python does not have a built-in way to make a truly unchangeable constant. It is only a naming convention that programmers agree to follow. Convention: constants are written in all uppercase letters with words separated by underscore. These tell other programmers reading the code, please don't change this value. So in C and C++, you can declare a variable a constant. You use const, const, to declare the variable constant, and in your program later on you cannot change the constant variable. But in Python there is no hard fast rule that there is a constant and you can't change it. You can change it, but it is not advised. It is a convention. To be a proper programmer, to be a formal programmer, you need to follow this convention, where before writing the code, at the beginning of your code, you declare all your constant variables in the beginning of your code, in the starting, and all the variables should be in all uppercase letters, like this: pi 3.14159, max students 60, gravity 8.9, print pi. Python will technically still allow you to change a constant's value. It's only convention, not enforced by the language. Constants are usually defined once at the top of the file, so they are easy to find and update. Input and output. Now this is an important topic, input and output, because as we go further, you will notice that we need to take input from the user. If you are writing a program or writing a code, so taking input from the user is very necessary, because at the end user will interact with whatever the program you are building. So in what way user will interact? It will give it the input and the program will give user output. So You should learn properly how to take input and print output. First, let's study about output, the print function. Because we are already using print function. We already used it in our previous lecture. Print function is a built-in function used to display output, text, number, variables, values on the screen. So whatever you have to print, whatever you want to display to the user, you can just use print. Welcome to Python, name Aditi, print my name is name. So I'll show you how to do this. What are these commas, and I'll show you how to do that. So let's go to VS Code, print. Now whatever you write in these commas, so that will be printed as it is. Like my name is. So if you print that, so let's say you run the program, and you can see in the output section terminal, my name is printed as it is. And if you have to include a variable here, like if I declare a variable, x is equals to, I stored my name Rudra into x. Now I want to print it. So if you write x in here, if you run the program, then you will see that it's not printing the value of x, it's printing just x. So the variables, we should not write variable inside the double quotes. Okay, so how to print variables using the print function? You don't write them in double quotes, you use a comma and just write x as like this. So now it knows that the x here refers to the variable that we have variable string variable that we have declared here. So now it will print my name is Rudra. Okay, so I hope you understand this. That's what the code is here written. Okay, useful print parameters. Now what are parameters? Parameters are like functions that you can use inside print that will help modify the output that you are printing in different ways. Like you can use sep, which is a short form for separate. Sep is used in Python, sets the separator between multiple values. Default is a space. Print double quotes a double quote b comma sep is equals to, here in double quotes there is a slash here or hyphen. So what it basically does is it separates a and b by a hyphen, and set what to print at the end instead of new line. Default is new line. So print here default, what does it mean? If here we have assigned sep and a hyphen, so that's why it prints an hyphen between a and b. If it was empty like double quotes, nothing inside it, then there will be just space between a and b. And default is new line. So print hi comma and here double exclamation mark. So after printing hi, it will print this. It will end the line with this. If you don't write anything, then the default is new line. Next, the program will move to the next line. Now input function. Input is a built-in function used to take data from user through the keyboard while the program is running. For example, name is equals to input, enter your name, semicolon. So now print hello name. We have taken the input and stored the input in the name, and now we are printing the value of name. Input is always returns a string, even if the user types a number. This must be converted using type conversion if you want to use it as a number. Covered in next topic. The text inside input is called a prompt. It's a message shown to guide the user on what to enter, like this. I'll show you how to do this. I will practice it in VS Code. So we have to focus on this. That's why type conversion exists. Like input always returns a string. If you take input from, if you want an integer, a float, or a boolean, etc., but you have to remember that input always takes a string, returns a string. So we have to convert that string in whatever type we want to use in our program. We'll learn on type conversion. Now type conversion. I think before type conversion we should learn about data types. So for let's first practice on input, how to take an input. So let's see, we are taking an input for the name of the user. So we'll just input. You can just do this much, print name, comma. Now we want to print the whatever is stored in variable. So that's why we'll write it like this, name. Now you can run the program. So let's continue. So actually I was facing some problems, like I'll tell you. Here it is the code runner, like the extension I installed. Here only the code run, it often doesn't take input. So if you are facing a problem like this, you just go here and you can, here it was running the code, but you can select this option which will run the Python file in terminal, not in the output section, in the terminal. So by that we can give input. So let me give the input, and as you can see, it's printing name Rudra. I give the input Rudra. I can give another input like ratio, it will print ratio. So moving further, we were talking about type conversions. So before type conversions, as I have said before, let's first talk about data types. Then we will study about type conversion. Data types in Python. A data type defines what kind of value a variable holds, such as whole number, a decimal number, text, or a true false value, and what operation can be performed on it. First is int. It is written as int in Python. It represents an integer, represents whole numbers, positive or negative without any decimal point. Python's int has no fixed size limit. Unlike some other languages, it can store very large numbers. Here you can see examples. Age is equals to 20, temperature is equals to -5, big number, this much big number, you can print that, and they are all okay. Float, floating point number, represent number with decimal points, fractional values, used whenever precision beyond whole number is needed. Example, price, height, weight, percentage. In basically to represent decimal number, we use float. Complex number, represent number with real part and imaginary part, written as a plus bj, where j represent imaginary unit, under root -1. In mathematics, you would have seen it is represented by I, but in Python it is represented by J. Mostly used in scientific and mathematical computing, signal processing, engineering calculations. So you can see the example, z is equals to 3 plus 5j. Print j, print type of j. So we will print real. Here print j real, print imaginary. So you can print the real part and the imaginary part, like the part without the j and part with the j. So 3 and 5. Boolean. Boolean represent one of only two values, true or false. It just gives us true or false, used to represent logical states, yes, no, on, off, pass, fail, and is the result of comparison. Internally, true is treated as 1 and false as 0. They can even be used in arithmetic. Example, you can see the examples here. String represent text, a sequence of character enclosed in single quotes or double quotes or triple quotes for multi-line text. Strings are widely used for names, messages, sentences, and any textual data. You can see the summary. Now, after that, you can your type function. We are already using type function in this lecture. So type function is an inbuilt function that tells you the data type of any value or variable. Here, if you have and stored value 10 in a and you want to know what is the type of a, then you will just write type a and it will show that type is extremely useful while learning and debugging. It helps confirm exactly what type of data a variable is currently holding. Since Python is dynamically typed, the type of variable can change during a program. So type can give a different result at different point if variable are was reassigned. Like if you have assigned a variable in the beginning of program and later down the code and you reassigned it. So if you type the data type of the variable, it might be different from when you assigned it previously. So after studying this, let's go back to type conversion, data type conversion. So type conversion is the process of converting a value from one data type to another. Example, converting a string to an integer or an integer into a float. float to an integer, etc. Type conversion, implicit conversion. Implicit conversion means you don't have to do it. Python automatically converts one data type into another without the programmer asking when it's safe to do so. Explicit, the programmer manually converts a value from one type to another using built-in functions. Example of implicit type conversion: if you have stored a value 5 in a variable and 2.5 in b, and later you are declaring a variable c in which you are storing the value of summation of a and b. So 5 plus 2.5 will result in 7.5. So Python automatically declares this data type of the variable c as float, because 2.5 is a float value, 5 is an integer value, and the value of c is 7.5. So Python automatically declares it float because only float can store 7.5 value. It also converts a as a float like 5.0 because same data types can be added or subtracted like that. That's what is the Python automatically converts a to float. So a here it is 5, but here a is converted to 5.0, so that summation can happen with 2.5. Explicit type conversion, common functions: int bracket integer. If you write anything in int here is string in int, so it will be converted to, it will lead to 10. Float float here is string, will result, if you print this then it will result, it will give output 10.0. String, you can write 25, 25 is an integer, it will give output 25 in double quotes. Boolean boolean, if you, as we have studied before, 1 represents true and 0 represents false. Fixing the input problem: age is equals to input, enter your age. So age is equals to int age. Explicit conversion from string to int, like as we have seen, input just gives us strings after taking input from the user. Whether you are typing in a string or an integer, a string is stored in age, so we can explicitly convert age into integer by doing this. Or there is another way, like you can all convert, you can put this whole input function already in int, like age int input, enter your age. I'll show you how to do it like this. Age, now whatever we write in first, I'll, I forgot to show. If you enter 19, so here name, here you have to change it as age. So it's printing age is equals to 19. And but here is, as you can see, blank. I'm just writing 19. How will user get to know what we have to type, right? So because here we have the program, here we have the code, I can see the code, what code is asking because I'm writing the code. But on the users and you don't show user the code. So like online forms, you would see write your name here, your address here. So how can we show that in input function? So you do it by this way: what is your age? In this way, it will teleprompt to the user that what are we asking as an input. So as you can see here, what is your age? The question is asking. So now I know I have to write my age. So I can just input and it will give me output age is equals to 9. Key points: not every conversion is possible. Int hello, this is not possible because hello is a letter, right? Character, and it can't be int, will cause error since hello is not a valid number. Converting a float to int using int, remove the decimal part, it does not round. Example, 9.8 gives 9. So we have to make sure that this type of error, this type of mistake does not happen. Type conversion is especially important when working with input since it always returns a string. So we are done with the theory part for lecture 2. Theory part is done. You will get this PDF in my description, so don't worry. Now let's move on to practice. Coding practice for lecture 2. Now there are 5 questions that will help you understand the topics of the lecture 2 easily and also give you hands-on practice on coding. And in coding I'll advise you to not just watch the lectures, to code with me along the lectures. It will give you hands-on practice. So let's begin. Let's see what's question number 1. And we didn't have any practice questions for lecture number 1 because lecture 1 didn't contain that much of topics. It was just identifiers, keywords and comments. Those are just basic things. In lecture 2 we are basically starting Python in lecture 2, so that's why there are practice questions. And from this lecture onward, all the lectures will contain practice questions at the end. So I'll advise you to first do this question on your own, and if you are facing any problem you can just watch the lecture and follow as I solve the question. So question number 1 is on variables and output. Create variables to store the following information: your name, your age, your city. Print all the information in a clear format. So we have to create variables for storing our name, age and city, and we have to just print them. So let's go to VS Code and let's begin. So what we have to do, we have to create variables to store name, age and city. So we create a variable to store name, then age and city. Now we have to print them. Name, print age, print city. First question was easy. First question is over. Basic, we have to just declare names as we studied in this lecture how to declare names. and how to give output. So let's see. Name Rudra, age 20, city Lucknow. So question number one is done. Let's see what's question number two. Now we studied in this lecture how to take input from the user. So question number two is based on that, taking user input. Write a program that asks the user to enter. Now first we declared name, age and city on our own already in the program, but that's static. That value cannot change. You don't have to make a variable static. You have to take input from the user in general cases, real life. So here we have to use the input function. We have to take input as name, age and favorite programming language, then display the enter information using formatted output. Formatted output means that we have to display them on separate lines. So we can use this, reuse this print statements. I'll just I'll do whatever I'm writing about in inside input will tell the user that what information does he have to write inside it. I'm converting the input directly into int here. And in the question, what was the last thing? Favorite programming language. Okay, so language input. Double quote. Enter your favorite programming. So now we have to change the what are we printing as well, because as the inputs have changed. So first let's print slash n used for new line. So after taking inputs from this, the output will print in next line. Student details, you can say information. Then we print name as it is, age as it is, and instead at place of city, favorite language. So let's see if the program is correct. So it's first asking for my name. You can give your own name. I'm writing mine. Age is 19. Favorite language is C++. So it gives us student information. As you can see, if you will not write slash n here, so this information will be printed just next to this, but to create some separation between the two, like we are giving input and we are getting output. I have written, you can take note of that, that if you want to start a new line, print on the new line, then you can use this backslash n. Student information: name, Rudra, age 19, favorite language C. So question number 2 done. Question number 3, type conversion. We have also studied about type conversion in this lecture. So there is a question on that. Ask the user to enter two numbers. Convert the input into integers and print sum, difference, product and division. So we still haven't studied about the operators that we will study in next lecture, but it's basic. Some we basically do sum with plus sign, difference with minus, product with asterisks, and division by slash backslash. Sorry, the division is done by forward slash. Backslash is for. So what was the question? Type conversion. Ask for two numbers and then so num1 int. As input gives a string, I am already converting the string whichever we will get from the user directly into int, so that we don't have to write the code again. If you won't write int here, then you have to in the next line write num1. If you won't do it like this, then after taking the input from here, you will have to do it n1 is equals to int n1. So to reduce code, we can just convert input directly here. Take input, enter first n1 represent first number, and to number 2 int input, enter second number. So now we have taken two numbers as input from user and converted them to int. Now what we have to do, we have to add them, add their addition, subtraction, multiplication. Sum is equals to, and you should take note that we can also perform addition and all these arithmetic operation directly in print as well. Like you can directly do this as well. You can also do declare a new variable, like you can also either you can do it this way or you can do it this way, like you create a sum variable where you add num1 plus num2. But now for if you are doing it this way, then you have to create a variable for subtraction, for multiplication and for division, so it will get quite lengthy. So it's, I'll advise you to do it in this way. You can directly print the values of num1 and num2. Sometimes it's advised to create a variable for some, if you are using that some variable later in the code, then it is necessary to do that. But before, because this in this program we only need to print the sum and we don't need it further in the program, so we'll directly do it this way. Print difference, or you can say subtraction. Print product num2. As you can see, we don't use, there is no direct multiplication sign to represent multiplication in Python. Use this symbol. In next lecture, we will study about many symbols and arithmetic operations like floor division, power, how to exponential, etc. So we'll study about more symbols and this in the next lecture. Here it's showing an error because I'm not enclosed in the error here. Here the error is comma. Please make sure that there is no syntax error like this. Will the VS Code will show you by like this, inform you that there is some kind of error. Like here it's showing red underline, that will indicate that there is some error in this bracket. So a comma was missing, so that's why it was showing. Print. Now what's left? Division. Division is done by forward slash Python. So we have taken the input, we have converted the input from string to integer, and now we have printed the sum, the difference, the product. Let's run the code and see if it's work. First number, let's take 56. Let's take first a small number like 5. Second number we will take 4. So sum is 9, difference is 1, product is 20, division is 1.5. You can run the code again. Invalid syntax. Oh, here you can write a large number, enter another large number, and you can see the any type of number. So question number 3 done. I will advise you all to first do these questions on your own. There is no fixed variable or anything in this question. These questions are based or focused on to clear the topics and doubts in your head. You can choose the variables as you like. You can write the program as you like. Like at the end, the output should be correct. Question 4, exploring data types. Now we have studied about data types, so let's do a question on that. Create one variable of each of the following data type: int, float, complex, boolean, string. Print both the value and its data type using type function. So we have to create a variable for each data type, then print its value, whatever value we are storing in it, and its data type. So question number 4, right? What we have to do? Declare variables. You can take input as well, as you have seen. In this, it hasn't asked us to input, so we can just directly declare them, because Python directly automatically declares them, so we can just store the values as it is asked. Let's not use this after. Let's write it. So integer 25, then what? Float. As float is a, as float in a small caps is an keyword, so we can't use that, so we have to do it this way. If you're facing some kind of problem like this, if the keyword you want to declare a variable but it's a keyword, you can use underscore, or you can make some of its letter uppercase so that it's not similar to the keyword. And probably float. Now what was the next data type? Complex boolean string. Complex. How was the data stored in complex? We stored it in a plus b j format, where j is the under j represent under root minus 1. So so you can take 3 plus, next is whatever, 8. Now it's a complex. Next was boolean. So you can put true. Boolean has only true or false, right? So next is string. String is enclosed in double quotes, so make sure of that. What will we write in string? We can write home. Now we have to print its value and its data type. So print integer, and what will it do? We can print multiple variables like that. If you want to print multiple variables, then you can just use comma. Multiple things you want to print, then you can just use comma and do it like this. You can also print all of these in this same print, but they will all be in same line. So I'll print all of them in separate prints. Float. Make sure there is no syntax error. Float here. Print again. Complex. We are printing the value of complex here. and the, the type of value stored in complex here. Now it's obvious because I have given the names of the data type as I have stored them, but it's just to show. We will see in terminal how it is done, how Python automatically does it. So boolean type print string. So as you can see, everything is done. Let's see. So first 20 is printed as I have stored, and it's int. Then it's float, it's a complex number, true, and home is a string str. Cool. So question number 4 complete. Moving on, let's do question number 5, multiple assignment and dynamic typing. Assign values to three variables in single line. Print all the three variables. Change one variable from an integer to a string. Print the variable again along with its new data type. So we'll do point by point. Assign values to three variables in a single line. So first do that. We'll take x. I'll using x short variables x comma y comma z. You can use other variables as you like. So I'll just assign them as I have previously assigned 10. Let me 10, 20 and simple. And what's the next point? Print all three variables. So just print them. Print x, y. If you want to know what the shortcut I used to print the same line, whatever I have written here in next three lines, it's Alt plus Shift and down key. So that shortcut will print the same whatever you have, whatever it is written in the line that where our here cursor is, that will be printed. So I use that shortcut. Now for the next point, change one variable from an integer to a string. Now we have to change an variable from integer. So let's change z. Z is equals to student. So now we have reassigned z a value. First z was 30, now z is student. So what's next? Print the variable along with its new data type. So print z type of. So first we declare the variables print xyz 10, 20, 30, and now we reassigned z. Now it prints the value of z as student and its class or its type as string. So as you can see, You can change the value assigned to a variable later in the code, like first z was 30, now z is string student. So now if you print z further down the code, it will print student. You can change it again and again. So make sure how many variables you have reassigned in a code and what type data type they are storing currently. So lecture 2 is over. All the questions, I'll share this PDF as well with you of the coding practice question. And if you are facing any issue, and then you can, answers are also here in this PDF at the end. So you can just check there if you are facing any issue. So thank you everyone for watching. Lecture number 2 is completed. Next lecture will be lecture number 3, where we will study about operators, arithmetic of different type of operators, how we manage the data that we take input, how we control it, how we operate on it. That's what we will do. Thank you for watching. Thank you everyone.